Hello, welcome back to another Theory Thursday. You'll have to forgive me. I am a little under the weather right now. So I'm going to go off camera and do a chord analysis today on Do Nothing Till You Hear From Me. So no tie. I do have my Timex Easy Reader on today. I just didn't have it in me to get all dressed up. But I knew I had to do a video, of course. So that's what we're doing today. Chord analysis. Do Nothing Till You Hear From Me. Beautiful ballad, or play it up. Sometimes I do. It's a good tune. It's really fun to mess around with. Duke Ellington. Great tune. As always, if you've been enjoying the tune videos, theory videos, solo videos, just the music videos, any of it, like and subscribe is always appreciated. Of course, it's not necessary. It just keeps the channel going and the community growing. I love doing this, so I want to keep doing it. So I think that's it. Right? I feel like I'm missing something, but it might just be my scattered, sick brain. So, okay, without further ado, chord analysis. Do Nothing Till You Hear From Me. Well, let's go. Here we are. Do Nothing Till You Hear From Me. Chord analysis. So I'm going to skip over this little pickup here because there's no chord listed here, but we do see at the end it's just a basic 2-5 to G. So not much to talk about there anyway. So as you can see, we are in the key of G here. The one sharp and the beginning chord and ending chord is a dead giveaway. So let's figure out what the rest of these chords are and how they're functioning. Also, I'm a little under the weather, as you might have noticed from my voice, so I'm trying to stay off the camera and hopefully still get some information across. So we're in the key of G, one chord, and we instantly get into this thing that throws us out of the key. You can see where we're going, and I apologize. Well, maybe you like it. I was going to apologize, but maybe it's kind of cool. This is an old chart that I had from university. So you see these chords are circled. And that was my guitar instructor showing me where, when I was learning how to solo, where things were leading, right? This phrase is leading to this C, and this phrase is leading to this G, and then leading again to G. And then you'll see these chords written in as just chord substitutes too. So it's just all that kind of stuff. So it is an old chart that was photocopied, so I do apologize for that. But I don't know, it's kind of cool just to see the history behind it. So anyway, we are going to this 4 chord. So this is a 2 of 4, and this is a 5 of 4. Now the giveaway is it is a 2-5 into C major. But usually, not always, obviously, but usually when we are in a key and the 1 chord all of a sudden becomes dominant, usually that means we're going to the 4 chord. And that is what happens here. So now this is a cool little section here. So you can see we're going back to the 1 chord, but this is not a 2-5. What the heck is this? So this is what we call a backdoor dominant. Backdoor dominant. Excuse the messy writing, but now erase it anyway. So similar to tritone subs or altered chords, or there's more than one way to get to where you're going. And we have a lot of fun with that in jazz, as you know, if you've been watching these videos. Backdoor dominant is when you take your chord that you're trying to get to and you go down a whole step, and that's your dominant chord. So just as an example, let's say we're in the key of C and we wanted to get a backdoor dominant to there. We take C and we go down a whole step, right? Half step, whole step, and that's our dominant chord. And then, of course, you throw a minor chord in front of that, which leads to that. So it's like a 2-5. So it's like it's a 2-5 as if we were going to B flat, right? But we're going to G. So this is why this works. Look at this. This chord is an F, A, C, E flat. That's an F7 chord. Now, usually to get to a G, we'd play a D7. So check this out. D, F sharp, A, C, and make it a flat 9. What do we have here? Look at this. Oops. I mean, we're changing bass notes here. That's why it works. Because it's mostly the same chords. And it just gives it's a cool bass line motion here, especially coming from a C. Keeping the bass the same gives you that nice voice leading. And then F up, boom, boom, all of a sudden we're at G. It's just cool voice leading. I mean, it's a reason it works. So I'm just going to call this backdoor dominant. Okay? And that's that. I mean, you could write this as a minor 4 and a flat 7. But the function is a backdoor dominant. That's what it is. Okay, so let's keep rolling. Let's see where we're going. This is out of the key. This is out of the key. So what the heck's going on here? But then we get a 5, and we're leading to a G chord. So let's work backwards here. G. Here's a 5. Now usually this would be an A minor, and that would be a 2. So that tells me, oh, we're just trying. Sorry for flying around here. I'm trying to hit my eraser. Just wanting more yearning, more dissonance into that chord. So it's a 5 of 5. And then we go farther back and we have a 5 of 2. Now, I think I've talked about this in another video. John, the next chord is an A7. So why don't you write this as a 2? Well, because technically that's not in the key. I know the next chord is an A7 because we just looked at it. But if we're reading this left to right, you hear this one chord and you hear this chord. To stay in the key, this would lead to an A minor. And it would sound just fine. I mean, there's no C sharp in the melody here. You could play an A minor there, it would sound just fine. The composer here, Duke and Bob Russell, just wanted to string together these dominant chords, and it sounds great. But in the spirit of analyzing these chords, technically this chord is a 5 of the 2 chord in this key. So that's why we write it like that, because that is actually the function of it. It just so happens that the composer psyched this out and gave us another dominant chord. Okay, we hit a repeat. This is just a classic 2-5, back to G at the beginning. So let's continue on to second ending. Now this is cool. Changing keys. So right here, I'm going to mark this. All of a sudden, we're in E flat. So this is a 2, and this is a 5. You say, John, how do you know we're in E flat? Well, for starters, there's a 2-5 to E flat. Now, that doesn't always mean we're changing keys, just like we had up here. There's a 2-5 to C. But let's keep looking. Here's on the 2-5 to 1. Okay, and look at the melody. We're getting all these B flats, G's and B flats. So that tells me that we are in the key of E flat major. So let me fix a little bit of this. Okay, so here's a key change. This is a 2-5. We're in E flat now. And we have a 1 chord. We have a 2 chord. We have a 5 chord. We have a 1 chord. Now this is cool because it's reminiscent of what we had up here, right? The dominant 1 chord going to the 4 chord. So Duke kind of psychs us out here, and we get this 5 of 4, expecting to hear an A flat major come in, and he switches keys again on us. Now we're back to G. Okay, so it's a real deceptive cadence here. Classic 6 chord. 2, right? But it's major. Write this as a 5 of 5, and we get our 5, and all of a sudden we're back home to G. Okay? So yeah, this measure is really, really interesting just because of the deception that he throws at us. Back 1, easy peasy. Now, this is the same thing we saw up at the top. We got our 4 chord, which I better make sure I wrote that correctly. Yeah, sometimes I just subconsciously write 4s as 6s and 6s as 4s. They're just so similar. So this is a 2 of 4, and this is a 5 of 4. And we get our 4 chord. And this is the same thing we saw up here, the backdoor dominant. So I'll just write that. Backdoor dominant. You could also write this as a minor 4 and a flat 7. But you can also just call it a backdoor dominant. We have our 1. We have our chain of secondary dominants here. That's a 5. That's a 5 of 5. 5 of 2, like we talked about at the top. We got our 1. And to round it out, our 2, 5. Easy peasy. What a tune. What a tune. So we learned about backdoor dominance. We had a nice key change to the flat 6 of the key, G. And right back to it. I mean, it's only 4 bars long, 4.5. The key change. So, yeah, really, really cool tune. I think probably my favorite part of this is the deceptive, this part right here. I mean, when you're listening, it's just, you don't hear it coming. This abrupt change back. I mean, at least to get into E flat, we had a 2-5, but to get out of it, we get nothing. We get a deception. So I always thought that was kind of cool. Anyway, I think that's enough for today. We've gone through the whole tune. If hopefully you learned something, and we'll see you for the next one. Thanks.